What's that sound? It's For Amusement Only, the EM and Bingo Pinball Podcast.
Welcome back to For Amusement Only. This is Nick Baldridge. So you just got a brand new EM project, or bingo, and you're bringing it home, and you're so excited. It's your first one, maybe it's your fifth one, maybe it's your 90th one, and the feeling is pretty much the same. You get home, crack it open, and then remember that there's an entire cat's worth of fur inside. Or a bunch of dead mice, or whatever the case may be. Today's episode is about cleaning your cabinet. What you want to do is get out your vacuum cleaner. If you have a shop vac, that's great, but that's not required. There usually isn't a bunch of water in the machine. If there is, hopefully you didn't pay a whole lot. But take a vacuum and you run it through and try to get all the hair out, or the mice. Now, if there are dead mice, and especially if there's unknown fur or fecal matter of any kind, you want to put on gloves, wear a respirator, and long sleeves if you can. Put stuff in a trash bag, seal it up, and carry it straight out to, the garbage bin. You don't want to be exposed to whatever the matter is that you're trying to dispose of. Mouse feces, for example, carry the hantavirus, which is a very dangerous illness in humans. So you want to try to limit your exposure as much as possible. Just because a game is cheap doesn't mean it's going to clean up well. If there's a very obvious mouse nest right in the center of the playfield, and lots of waste products everywhere. But assuming you have the normal couple traces of mouse poop from it sitting in somebody's barn for several years, just vacuum them out. Just be sure to empty your vacuum cleaner immediately. If you have the type with a disposable bag, just dispose of the bag, put a new one in. If you have one with the cup, just be sure to clean it after you dispose of the mouse poop. Again, it's just to try to limit your exposure to whatever diseases the mice might have. Maybe they were perfectly healthy. You never know. I'd rather not take the chance. When you get all the obvious fur and poop out, then it's time to get the less obvious fur and poop out. For this, I remove the entire playfield from the game. In fact, I usually do that before, unless there's a ton of fur attached to the bottom of the playfield. The playfield is attached usually by 3 Jones plugs, which are hooked up in the back of the game. This is fairly common for each manufacturer and era. There are some exceptions. Directly post-war, most of the Jones plugs went from the playfield up into the head as opposed to down into the game. And Gottlieb, for example, in their 60s games, used 2 Jones plugs instead of 3. But the same basic tenets hold for pretty much all eras of pinball. Unplug the playfield, take it out. If you've worked on a System 11 game, you'll be pleasantly surprised by how easy it is to lift the playfield out. That's one of the things that I just despise, is taking the playfield out of a System 11 game. But back to the subject. Take the playfield out and vacuum out any fur that you might have missed. Then you'll see this bottom board that has relays, switches, and all kinds of stuff, usually the transformer as well. This board is mounted to the bottom of the cabinet by 2 screws. They're usually very large flathead screws, and you can very easily loosen them Now, lifting the board is another matter. It's usually very, very heavy because the transformer is sitting on it. So, what I like to do, because I'm lazy, unless I'm completely restoring a game, I will unscrew the bottom board and lift it. And then I'll vacuum underneath that side, go to the other side, lift that up, then vacuum under there. The only exception I might make to this is if I'm taking the entire board out again, that'd be for like a full restoration, or if I see that there is some kind of horrible problem underneath of there, a bunch of dead mice or, something of that nature. So, you want to, again, use all caution. If you see a bunch of dead mice, you want to only be handling them with gloves, dispose of the gloves afterward. You basically don't want to touch the dead mice with anything. If it's just a skeleton, like my friend Clark found in a game, you're probably okay. But just about anything else, you're not going to want to be handling something after handling the mouse. So, you got the cabinet all vacuumed out, and now it's looking presentable. Not necessarily beautiful. We'll get into cabinet restoration here in another episode, but just wanted to get into the basics of cleaning, because that's another thing that I've seen an awful lot of, is a machine that is packed to the brim with some unknown animal fur or mouse leavings, and I'm told, game works great. Well, it does, but it's really gross. So, and the fur will eventually clog stuff, or if you're really unlucky, catch fire, but you'd have to be winning the lottery unlucky. So anyway, that's all for today's episode, but before I go, I wanted to mention that the Allentown show is going on today. Allentown is a fantastic pinball show on the East Coast. It's up in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and they typically have a very active and lively flea market. Well, I wanted to mention it for two reasons. First of all, Vic Camp will be there with his nightclub project, and once again, that's a fantastic bingo. It's a wood rail, and it uses the Magic Squares feature with the turning corners, so they spin around clockwise when you have the feature lit. It also has advancing odds, beautiful artwork. It's a good game. Hopefully that goes to a good home. Also, in the flea market, there is a guy that's selling a Bally bikini. Bikini is one of the most sought after magic screen bingos from the 1960s. It has a futurity feature like its sister game Lido, and the futurity is like a way to build up your red letter game in order to get higher red letters than you normally would. Bikini is being sold in the flea market and is also a project. It sounds like a fairly light project, as does Nightclub. I would highly suggest anybody pick those up as their projects. Bikini's being sold by a nice guy in the flea market that I've bought a game from previously. So please, somebody pick up these games, bring them home, fix them up, and play them to death. They are fantastic bingos. And let me know about it. I would love to hear who picked up the games and that they went to good homes. Well, that's all for tonight. My name again is Nick Baldridge. You can reach me at foramusementonlypodcast@gmail.com. And you can find us online at foramusementonly.libsyn.com. You can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Cast via RSS on our website or even on Facebook. Thanks again for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.